What's going on, everyone? Welcome along to Arsenal Fan TV, and I'm leaving that game with a lot of mixed thoughts. The full-time score being Chelsea 2, Arsenal 0. By no means a terrible performance from Arsenal today, and it's certainly not comparable to that capitulation we witnessed at Stamford Bridge last season. But the result and aspects of Arsenal's game today were incredibly infuriating. First of all, Ozil, the first negative of the game for me that was even out before kickoff was that Ozil was being played wide yet again, and Chamberlain was dropped to the bench. I can't understand why we dropped Chamberlain as well. Chamberlain, over the past couple of games against Galatasaray and against Spurs, arguably has been one of our best players on the pitch, and he should have been starting this game because that's where we were going to attack Chelsea. On the counter-attack, we saw that in the first half, tried to get them on the break, and with all respect to Ozil, on the flank, he really does slow our game down at times. And it's not his fault by any means, and Ozil did have a poor performance today. Whilst I'm on the topic of him, he was really poor today. I mean, he wasn't terrible, but he was, by his standards, he was poor, and that wasn't just because he was being played out on the wing. He just looked absolutely outclassed at times. He was just running into players, falling over the ball, losing the ball, letting it go out for throw-ins, dribbling it out, and it was very, very lacklustre from him, and I'm hoping that he'll up his game. But then again, he's had 3 really good performances on the bounce. He's had 1 poor performance against the title favourites, so I don't want to lay into him too much, and he was being played out of position, so all of that has to be taken into consideration. And one positive we can take going into this game, though, is that Wenger did adjust his tactics. Maybe not for the best, but he did play with 3 central midfielders in Wilshere, Flamini and Cazorla. I thought Wilshere had a good game today. Flamini certainly upped his performance. I thought he had a really good game today. And Cazorla was another one that played really well. So that was a slight positive we can take. But then again, we just looked kind of second best to Chelsea in that first half. Obviously, you've got to expect that Chelsea were going to bombard us right from the first minute, and that's exactly what they did. And we did defend very, very well, and if it wasn't for a piece of absolute genius by Eden Hazard, who, I said in the preview going into this that he was a player that had underperformed for Chelsea in recent weeks, and it was so difficult that he would up his game going into this, typical big game player, and that's what the difference was today. Chelsea had a player that can make the difference, that can have a big impact on a game. I'm not saying we haven't got that, but our players don't step up. I like to think that, you know, Chelsea's players rose to the occasion a little bit more. I'm not saying that our players didn't, but they just went a little bit above. And Eden Hazard, lovely bit of brilliance, taking it past about 2-3 players. I think he took it past Chambers, Cazorla, and then Koscielny ultimately fouled him, giving away a penalty. He was quite lucky not to see red, but it was a great penalty by him, and we could see 1-0. It was a bit harsh on us because we defended so well, and like I said, if it wasn't for that little bit of brilliance, then it probably would have been 0-0 going into half-time, and we were incredibly unfortunate to concede, but we weren't really creating much at the other end. I don't think we registered a shot on target until about, you know, the 85th, 90th minute, which is really, really bad, and that was only when Podolski came onto the pitch, and we just weren't doing enough generally in that aspect of the game, and we didn't really threaten them that much. I mean, we had a really, really good chance straight after we conceded through Jack Wilshere, but his touch was too heavy, and that was one of very few chances that we got today to put us back on level terms. Second half, I thought we were the better team throughout the whole 45 minutes. We certainly looked rejuvenated, we looked really up for it, and at 1-0 down, we might as well have gone all out for it because we kind of had nothing to lose, and even then we continued to defend really well. One player that arguably could have got a red card was certainly Gary Cahill for a very reckless challenge on Alexis Sanchez. I think he was very lucky not to see red. The challenge was reckless, dangerous, and it could have caused serious damage to Alexis Sanchez, but then again, the referee probably knows more about it than I do. Regarding the rest of that second half, Arsenal looked really good on the ball. We were doing some lovely moves going forward. But one problem that we've had throughout the whole course of the season is trying to break teams down. And doing it against one of the best defences in the league was going to be incredibly difficult for us. We pushed loads of men forward. It was really difficult for us. We've seen against Palace, Besiktas, that it's been really hard to try and break teams and get in behind the defenders. And that's what Chelsea did really well, especially for their second goal. Because we'd pushed so many men up top, Fabregas, it had to be him providing the ball over the top to Diego Costa, and he wasn't going to miss a lovely chip over Chesney to kill the game off at 2-0, and then really we only had pride to play for after that, and the final score being 2-0. I mean, like I said, there are positives we can take from this. We did match Chelsea for a good course of the game, but arguably the better team won. They took their chances when they came to them. Eden Hazard, absolute little bit of brilliance to get them the goal, and that's what we lack. We need someone that can make an impact on a game. Anyway, there's not much else that I can really report now. We've got another 3 fixtures coming up after the international break. I think it's Hull, Sunderland and Burnley. We've faced a lot of the big teams already. We've faced City, Everton, Spurs and now Chelsea. So at least we've got that game out of the way. We are 9 points behind Chelsea, which doesn't look good on paper, and we are sitting 7th in the table. But it's the start of October, for God's sake. We are behind United, but then again, they haven't played half the teams we have. They had a very easy start to the season, and I'd like to see how their defence copes against the calibre of Chelsea and Manchester City, etc. So I'm not entirely worried about that, and I'm just hoping that we can get some points on the board in the coming months. Hopefully we'll be in a good position by Christmas, and then we can really push on from there. Anyway guys, those are my thoughts on Arsenal's defeat to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. If you have enjoyed the video, please give it a like rating, subscribe to Arsenal Fan TV and check out my own channel, AFC Game by Game. And as always, thank you for watching guys.
Get the Arsenal Fan TV app, available on Apple and Android now.